the finale of Royale. I couldn't just leave it at that, so I'm recording this in the same session as I recorded episodes 10 and 11. This has been like an hour and a half straight of recording for me, so this might have to be cut into two, but hopefully it will still be a worthwhile finale for you, and let's get right into it. Greece will be invading Southwest. The country southwest of Greece, I think I've already decided this before when I did the similar thing, is going to be the Papal States. And this would be great for Greece, and they might even win this if basically the entire rest of the continent didn't want this invasion to happen. First of all, the Papal States are Catholic, and second of all, Greece borders Turkey and the Yellow Alliance, both of them hate them. So Turkey will want to invade Greece. Germany gets in on it because why not? They're Catholic, so it kind of makes sense. I mean, they're also Protestant, but they're partially Catholic. They're probably more Catholic than Protestant at this point, given the lands they've annexed. And Greece is just not going to have a good time with this invasion, with the Slavic Union, Italy, quote-unquote Italy, Vatican City, who, even though they hate Italy, teams up with them to fight Greece because they hate each other. Even Turkey wants their old land back. They take Crete. So in exchange, a simple summary of this invasion, it goes very well for all the other countries besides Greece. Let's see what this treaty looks like. And this is how Greece is divided up. Greece came in 10th place. 9 countries remain. The Uralic Union will be invading East. In a shocking betrayal, the Uralic Union will betray the Yellow Alliance, including Italy, who prefers the Slavic Union at this point, invading into the Slavic Union. While the invasion is mostly south, this is the closest to east I could get, so they're going to move east to start the war, so that's how it actually makes sense. And unfortunately for the Slavic Union, Turkey joins this invasion, so this is also unfortunate for Italy, as the Slavic Union, which also is facing Russian rebellions again, but again, the Russian rebellions will go nowhere, just gets destroyed. Their capital, which has been Kyiv since they formed, is destroyed, and the entire thing is destroyed, with Italy even switching sides near the end in order to get some land out of the peace treaty. Italy loves switching sides, I hope you realize. And the Uralic Union thought it would be really important symbolically to get Kyiv, so they gave basically the rest of the territory to their 2 allies in the war, so that they didn't have to take it. 8 countries remain. The Slavic Union came in 9th place. Switzerland will be making an alliance with the Uralic Union, as the Cyan and Yellow Alliances merge to take out Germany and Turkey once and for all, because why not? The Uralic Union will make an alliance with Iceland. So the 2 of them will be leaving the Cyan Alliance they just joined, reforming the Yellow Alliance. Next up, Iceland will be making an alliance with Italy. Italy joins the Cyan Alliance. Basically, there's just a lot of secret diplomacy going around between all the different countries, which is leading to all these weird shifts in alliances, so now it looks like nothing has changed besides that Iceland switched alliances, but a lot of stuff has actually happened. Iceland will invade East. And this is probably going to be the biggest war of the series and the final war of the series. The rest is probably going to go pretty quickly after this. So Britain, which is left mostly undefended by France once again, will be landed in by Iceland, and it will be pretty quickly taken all the way through Scotland, but this time France was ready, and they've been defending England. And a landing attempt is made on Wales that is actually pushed back, as landings are made at Dublin that start seeing Ireland rebel against Iceland all throughout the island in favor of being part of France, I guess. Meanwhile, the Papal States start invading into Italy, and Italy feels the brunt of the war, as most of the forces of the war are going into Italy from both sides. Turkey joins the Cyan Alliance temporarily. First thing they do is seize Crete, then they start invading and hoping to get into Athens, which they don't actually end up doing, but it would be a nice symbolic victory because Italy has moved their capital there. The Uralic Union then starts invading into Turkish territory, but they're really fighting against Russians who don't want to be occupied by them, and Turkey's been giving the Russians a lot of independence, more so than they're fighting against Turkish troops, so they actually do pretty well until they actually get to the defended parts, but they lose a ridiculous number of soldiers for the amount of actual soldiers they're killing, and even for the amount of people they're killing, including civilians. By the way, they're committing war crimes there. Anyways, back to this. Ireland is landed on again by Iceland and started to be liberated, but only halfway down is how far they get before that stops. Germany is refusing to join either side, which is angering both of them, but neither of them wants to anger Germany, so nothing happens. Italy manages to push back a little bit, as the Uralic Union is helping them, but they fail to push against Turkey very far, only getting to there, and Turkey has been focusing on taking Athens, which they finally take. Italy has moved their capital since to a different city, but most of Greece falls shortly thereafter, not really caring about whether they're part of Italy or Turkey, and therefore not resisting that much. The Russian people stage what's basically a third-party thing over here, trying to basically get their independence from Turkey and the Euros, and Turkey helps them by invading up to here. Kazakhstan also is basically, and Siberia are fully on the side of Turkey, and Siberia does something that we haven't seen so far this series, which is Turkish troops that were in Kazakhstan and then Siberia start invading into all the Russian northern parts that are now part of the Uralic Union, and the East Karelia Peninsula is taken, and Finland is starting to directly suffer. Estonia isn't. In the British front, things are going far better for the Yellow Alliance, as Ireland is fully retaken, as well as England, but they struggle to land on France, so that could be good for them, or that could be good for France and Portugal, which is one country. Unfortunately for Italy, things are not going well for them, as the Uralic Union has kind of abandoned them, and allowed for them to just be invaded until there's actually a front line that the Uralic Union cares about defending. Iceland takes this pretty badly. Also, the Russian rebellion is doing significantly better now, and these troops over here are also doing pretty well. Anyways, Iceland feels kind of betrayed by this, and they decide to leave the war after getting permission from France to annex Britain. Finland is now being directly threatened by not just Turkish troops, but Cyan Alliance troops, as France gets permission from Germany and Iceland to move their troops up to here and start invading Norway, and Norwegian rebellions also aid in the taking of Norway, and Swedish rebellions aid in the taking of Sweden, to the point where both Norway and Sweden are taken by the Cyan Alliance, and everything is collapsing for the Urals now, as they start being invaded into. Crimea is taken, Kyiv, their symbolic city that they really wanted in the last war, is taken. The Russian rebellion starts doing unbelievably well, taking all of this territory, but refusing to give it to Turkey, which is upsetting to Turkey, but what are they going to do? Finland is just getting their butt kicked, as Estonia basically leaves the Union and basically negotiates their own peace treaty, and Finland is kicked out of this war. That was extremely complicated, yet only one country got out, and that was Italy, because of this war. Let's see what a peace treaty looks like. And these are the new borders. Estonia got the remainder of the Uralic Union. The Russian rebellion fell apart as soon as the war ended, and therefore Turkey took it over. Russia had actually been given independence, but then as it fell apart, Turkey took it over. This is what used to be Italy, but was actually effectively Greece. UK is now all part of Iceland, yada yada. Iceland will invade Northeast. And they're actually invading Northeast from the British Isles, so I can actually have them invade Northeast. They're invading Northeast, of course, into these territories that are owned by France, and unfortunately for France, they are not going to really be able to defend these, so they end up selling them to Iceland for a lot of money, to the point that Iceland is completely broke, which might actually, in fact, definitely will be worse for Iceland in the long run, which is kind of what France was hoping for. France, Portugal, they're one country still. Turkey will be invading Southwest. The country southwest of Turkey is the Papal States. So as Turkey prepares their invasion of the Papal States, they expect to be able to take all the Balkans from the Papal States quite easily. There's just one country that makes this kind of difficult for them. Germany does not want this to happen, and they, along with the Sign Alliance, will help the Papal States to ensure that they not only continue existing, but take Greece from Turkey as well, as Turkey is unable to do anything. And then Estonia will join the war in hopes of getting some of that Russian territory that Turkey took, specifically the part that was the revived Russia that existed for a sec, and Turkey will surrender. Next up, Turkey is invading Northwest. Not having learned their lesson, Turkey is once again trying and doing the exact same thing they just did, and this time it's to much less success, as they barely even crossed the Bosphorus before the Papal States crushed them with the help of the Sign Alliance, but they probably didn't need it, all the way back into Ankara, and as soon as Ankara is taken, Turkey will surrender, but I don't think they'll be surviving this one. And the whole of what used to be Turkey is given to the Papal States. Turkey came in 7th place, 6 states remain. Switzerland will make an alliance with Iceland. This is like the 50th time in the series a Green Alliance is formed. This Green Alliance will probably not do any better than the other ones, because look at the 2 countries that are in it. It's a country that's so bankrupted that countries outside of Europe are trying to attack it, and Switzerland, the weakest country that's left. Estonia will make an alliance with Switzerland. This might have just changed everything, as Estonia joins the Green Alliance, meaning now there are more Green Alliance members than Sign Alliance members, although I don't know how much that's going to help, because France, Portugal, and the Papal States combined are way more powerful than the other 3. Papal States will be making an invasion. What? Will be invading West. In the world's most shocking betrayal, the Papal States have been coordinating with Germany, and their goal is to take out France, Portugal. And the Green Alliance will not get in their way, they will assist. Unfortunately for Iceland, they're unable to assist, and Switzerland is pretty weak, so they help out as much as they can, but not much. France being the only country in their alliance means they are basically guaranteed to lose this. In fact, as soon as this happens, which is a crazy coincidence, and Paris is taken, Portugal basically jumps ship and surrenders independently from the Union, meaning that Portugal is still alive. And these are the new borders of Europe. Switzerland will make an alliance with Germany. The Papal States are starting to feel ganged up on. Switzerland will be facing rebellion. But Switzerland is a Catholic nation, and it's become way more religious since the series started. It used to be pretty much secular, but now it's almost a theocracy, and the actual theocracy is pressuring them to rebel against the government, and now it's happening. Massive rebellions funded pretty objectively by the Papal States are taking place all across Switzerland, and these are in favor of joining the Papal States, not just creating a new government, and unfortunately, basically a theocrat is elected into office and then he merges, and so technically it's not even a rebellion, and technically the Papal States are now supposed to be part of the Green Alliance. They're not let into the Green Alliance, which is bad for the Papal States, but they just fully annex Switzerland. Iceland will be invading directly south. So they will be betraying Germany. And actually, Estonia will side with them on this. But that is maybe not a good idea, because pretty quickly, the Papal States and Portugal both join, as well as a bunch of countries outside who start supplying them, which I know they're not supposed to, but remember, Iceland is in so much debt. They actually get invaded by power I will not say from outside of Europe, and the UK basically has just its entire economic system collapsed, and it goes into anarchy, which is then occupied. And Estonia starts getting invaded, and they're the main target of the invasion at this point, because they shouldn't have sided with Iceland, but they did. And now Estonia is paying the price, having fully lost, as Russians also ensure that this is not good for them. And the Russians don't want to be under the Papal States. Remember, they're Orthodox, not Catholic. But unfortunately, this isn't going to matter, as Estonia is taken, and there's no other power nearby, as Finland falls to the Papal States and Germany, and the Nordics have been in anarchy for a while, so I don't know why I didn't color them in yet. But basically, 2 more countries just fell, which means 3 will remain. And this is the division of Europe between Germany and the Papal States. And Portugal was also there, but didn't get anything. 3 countries remain. Germany, we're not doing alliances anymore. We'll be facing rebellion. And it's the same reason that Switzerland just faced one. It's Catholicism. Germany is not a majority Catholic nation in modern day, but here they are. And so a Catholic-inspired rebellion only makes sense that it would happen in Germany. And it's going to happen mostly in Austria, the first place that Germany invaded, and it will be Germany's demise. They thought that invading Austria would go so well for them, but it ended up backfiring. Austria was the spark that lit the fire that was the Catholic rebellion, the biggest rebellion in the history of the world, as all of the Catholic regions of what is Germany, supported by the Pope, and even the Orthodox regions, because they prefer Catholicism to Protestantism, will rebel against Germany. This includes Ireland. I'm not sure if Iceland is Catholic or Protestant, but they also rebel for their own reasons. And supported by the Papal States, this rebellion will eat up the rest of Germany, capturing Berlin, and with that, Germany is out of the series. Their entire territories over here are taken, and their entire territories over here are also taken. 2 countries remain. Portugal will invade Northeast. Oops. And there we have it. The winner of European Battle Royale, the country you would have least expected to have won. But I think I've been foreshadowing it pretty well from the beginning. Hey, I'm just coming in the voiceover and editing because I didn't like the way I ended the previous video. So I thought it would be an interesting way to have the series end to have Vatican City win. And so, starting in like episode 9 or so, I was trying to like kind of hint towards them winning, and if an event rolled where I could make Vatican City gain land, I would. So be mad at me if you will, but I think it's a pretty good ending and a satisfying ending, and I wanted to make it end that way. And I didn't violate the rules of the series to do that, because I didn't rig the outcomes of the wheel spins. I just changed what happened because of that. So like if Italy was supposed to invade into Croatia, they would invade into Croatia, but maybe Croatia would win because that way the Vatican City can gain land. But with that, thank you for watching. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.